Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're going to cut through all the hype and headlines to focus on what is, without a doubt, the most critical part of owning digital assets: security. And look, this isn't just about fancy tech. It's about your process, your mindset, and your foresight. In this explainer, we're going to build your digital fortress step by step and turn any anxiety you might have about this stuff into confident, deliberate action.
Okay, this is the question, right? The one that should keep every single digital asset owner up at night. In this world, fortunes can be made with incredible speed, but you know what? They can be lost even faster. Unlike the old banking world, where you have safety nets and people to call, here, the responsibility for security, well, it rests almost entirely on you. So, are your assets really safe? Let's figure out what it takes to answer that with a confident yes.
Before we can build a defense, we have to know what we're up against, and the threats are everywhere. You've got these sophisticated hacks targeting exchanges where thousands can lose everything in an instant. Then there's just simple physical loss, misplacing a hardware wallet, or, as one source mentioned, literally having one melt in a hot car. And then there's the digital black hole of a forgotten password. There's no "forgot my password" link to click here. It's just gone forever. On top of that, you've got the endless phishing scams that prey on just one tiny moment of human error. And finally, there's custodial risk. That's the danger of trusting your assets to someone else who could go bankrupt or just freeze your funds, leaving you with absolutely nothing.
All right, so to navigate all of this, we've got a clear roadmap. First, we'll walk through the digital asset minefield. Then, we'll get into the foundational tech with understanding your keys. From there, we'll get practical and talk about choosing your digital vault. After that, we'll build the Guardian Security Protocol. This is your actual playbook. And finally, we'll cover a really crucial and often overlooked step: planning for the inevitable to make sure your legacy is secure.
So let's start by just really establishing the stakes. In the world of digital assets, your investment strategy, your market timing, your knack for picking winners, all of it, every last bit is completely and utterly useless without an impenetrable defense. Honestly, managing your assets securely is just as, if not more, important than picking them in the first place.
This quote from our source material just nails it with this analogy. A great poker player can have the perfect strategy, but if they bet their entire stack recklessly, they can still go broke. It's the exact same thing here. Risk management is what ensures you get to stay in the game. You can't control the market's wild swings, but you absolutely can control your personal security. That is your lifeboat, and not having one isn't bad luck. It's a choice to be unprepared.
And these aren't just hypotheticals, These are real, recurring tragedies from the source material. People lose these tiny hardware wallets all the time. They forget complex passwords they set up years ago, effectively torching a fortune. But the most common, and by far the most devastating error, is storing the master key, your seed phrase, digitally. Taking a picture of it, saving it in a note, emailing it to yourself. The second you do that, you've opened a door for a hacker to walk right in and take everything. It's often these simple slip-ups, not some crazy complex hack, that pose the biggest danger.
Okay, so we've seen the dangers. Let's switch gears to the how of building our defense. And it all starts with understanding the revolutionary technology that actually gives you sovereign control over your assets in the first place. It all begins with the blockchain.
So what on earth is a blockchain? Well, at its core, it's really just a special kind of database. The best way to think about it is like a giant global public spreadsheet or ledger. Every transaction gets recorded on it, but it has two magic properties. One, it's shared and verified by a massive network of computers, which makes it transparent. And two, its structure makes it practically impossible to go back and change anything.
This three-step process is the secret sauce to its security. First, as you can see, a bunch of recent transactions get bundled together into a block. Second, that block gets sealed with a unique code called a hash, which is basically a digital fingerprint. And third, and this is the really clever part, each new block includes the fingerprint of the block that came before it, creating a chain. So if anyone tries to mess with an old block, its fingerprint will change, and that would visibly break the entire chain for everyone to see. It makes the history tamper-proof.
And this quote right here gets to the very heart of why it's so secure. It's radical transparency. Because this ledger is shared across thousands of computers, everybody is watching. Imagine trying to secretly edit a Google Doc while 1 million people are all staring at their own perfect copy of it. No way, right? The change would be spotted instantly. That shared, transparent, chain structure is what makes the blockchain immutable. Okay, so if the blockchain is the secure public ledger, how do you actually interact with it? How do you prove that you own the assets recorded on there? Well, that's where your wallet comes in. And it's super important to know a wallet doesn't actually hold your coins. It holds the secret keys that give you the power to move them. And choosing the right kind of wallet is a massive security decision.
This chart lays out the fundamental trade-off you have to make: convenience versus security. On the left, you've got hot wallets. That's software on your phone or in your browser. They're always online, which is great for quick trades, but it also makes them vulnerable. In the middle are warm wallets, mostly for big institutions. But for the serious, long-term investor, the absolute gold standard is on the right, the cold wallet. This is a physical device that keeps your keys completely offline, or air-gapped. You sign transactions on the device itself, so your keys never, ever touch the internet.
We've covered the threats, the foundational tech, and the tools. So now, let's pull all of that together into a practical, actionable security protocol. This is your personal playbook for protecting your digital wealth.
So here's the core strategy, and it's super simple to understand. Think of it just like your physical wallet versus your bank vault. You don't walk around town with your life savings in your back pocket, right? You keep a little bit of cash for daily spending, and you lock the rest up somewhere safe. It's the exact same idea here. The vast majority of your digital assets, your long-term holdings, should be in cold storage. Only a tiny fraction for active use should sit in a hot wallet. This one simple move dramatically cuts down your risk. Okay, listen up. Because if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, make it this. Your seed phrase is the master key to everything. Anyone who gets their hands on it has total control. So the protocol for securing it is simple, but it is absolute. 1. Write it down. Physically, on paper, or even better, stamped into metal so it can survive a fire or a flood. 2. Store physical copies in multiple, secure, geographically separate locations. Think a home safe and a bank deposit box. Redundancy is your best friend. And 3, the unbreakable rule. Never, ever, ever create a digital copy. No photos, no text files, no password managers. The moment it exists online, it's vulnerable. Protecting your seed phrase is protecting your wealth. Period.
Now, after all that talk about cold storage, it's really easy to feel like you're invincible. But this is a dangerous myth. Believing that any single tool is a magic bullet just leads to complacency. And you know what? Complacency is the #1 enemy of security.
Look, a cold wallet is fantastic at protecting you from remote online attacks, but it can't protect you from everything. There's simple physical theft. Someone can just steal the device and try to crack your PIN. There are supply chain attacks where a device is tampered with before you even get it. But the biggest vulnerability of all is still the human element. You can be tricked, what we call social engineering, into connecting your super secure wallet to a shady website and approving a transaction that drains your funds. The hardware can be perfect, but you, my friend, are always the final firewall. Okay, we've built a system to protect your assets during your lifetime. But real comprehensive security means planning for the inevitable. What happens to all this stuff when you're no longer around? Without a plan, your assets don't just get tied up in court. They could literally be lost forever, vanishing into the digital ether.
This brings us to the final piece of the security puzzle: legacy planning. The best approach is something called a key access memorandum. This is just a document that explains everything: what you have, where it is, the physical location of your seed phrases, any pins. Now here is the most critical part. You have to keep this document separate from your legal will. Wills often become public records. Putting your seed phrase in a will is like publishing it on the front page of a newspaper. Seriously. And finally, make sure your trusted heirs or executor know this document exists and how to find it. A perfect plan is useless if nobody knows about it.
This quote just sums up the whole philosophy here. This new financial world offers incredible freedom and power, but that power comes with total responsibility. The security of your assets isn't up to a bank or a government anymore. It's up to you. Like the quote said earlier, you control your own lifeboat, and it's totally your choice whether you build one.
Let this be the final thought I leave you with. Building your digital fortress is the essential first half of the job. But a fortress without a succession plan is just a tomb where wealth gets lost forever. Security isn't a one-time setup. It's an ongoing discipline for yourself and a deliberate plan for the future. That, right there, is how you achieve real peace of mind in the world of digital assets.